This training is about concept mapping and its application in medical education. I am Dr. Nitin Joseph from the Department of Community Medicine at Kasturba Medical College, Mangalore. I am also a member of the Department of Medical Education at the same institution. Concept maps is a means of presenting the conceptual structure of a subject discipline in a pictorial form, making it easier for the students or the audience to assimilate whatever is being taught. Tribute to Joseph Novak and his team of researchers from the Cornell University at New York for giving us the concept of concept maps, which is over 50 years old as on date. So in this session, we will understand the different types of concept maps and how each of these concept maps can be applied in medical education. And after having understood the various theoretical aspects of concept maps, I will demonstrate to you on creating a concept map using software, namely Cmap. A student or a learner utilizes concept maps in the learning process under these two strategies. First is the retrieval practice, wherein recollecting their prior knowledge on the topic, they prepare a concept maps, and in the process of learning, by listening to the lecture of the teacher or the facilitator on the given topic, they further elaborate on the learned concepts and develop the concept maps. So this is the anatomy of a concept map. The following elements will come across in a concept map, which I am explaining with the help of this diagram. The various boxes which you see, the form of squares or rectangles or even circles, these are called as nodes. In the middle, the node is labeled with the focus question, and each of the nodes are connected to one another by links, and the labels of these links are known as the linking verb. Two nodes connected by a link, they form the unit of a concept map known as proposition. When we connect the concepts under one domain with the concept under another domain, we use crosslinks. Now, in this example, the focus question or the topic is on sandwiches, and it is placed in a large rectangular node, which is colored in orange color. There are two other nodes in the form of squares, which are labeled with the concepts bread and people. Both of these are linked to the focus question using a linking verb, have and feed. So the two propositions here are sandwiches have bread and sandwiches feed people. What are the different types of concept maps? They are spider map, flowchart, hierarchy map, and system map. Spider map resembles the web of a spider with a focus question placed at the center. From the focus question, the links are arranged radially, and each of these links are connected to subtopics, which are again arranged in a radial pattern around the main topic. So this is how the spider map appears. The second type of concept map is designed in the form of a flowchart. These are used when you require a visual representation of a process or a flow with each step arranged in a chronological order. So flowcharting makes it easier for the audience to understand how each idea or step leads to the next. For example, in a class on protein synthesis within a cell, the flow charting can be used to explain the steps from one to the other till it leads to the synthesis of proteins. The third type of concept map is known as hierarchy mapping, and here the information is presented in a cascading manner with more general topics or the focus question at the top. And as we descend downwards, the concepts become more specific and concrete. So the classification can be explained using hierarchy mapping, such as this. And the final type of concept map is system mapping, which doesn't have a proper shape. Here, the focus is on the relationship between ideas and therefore doesn't have a clearly defined structure. For example, a background of concept maps has been explained using a system mapping in this example. Going in the clockwise direction, this is how the outline of different patterns of concept maps will look like. First being the spider map, second being the hierarchy mapping, and then comes the system mapping, and lastly the flow charting. Now, when you are preparing a concept maps, you will be going through the following stages: focusing, brainstorming, organizing, layout, linking, and revising. In the focusing stage, you need to choose the focus question, and this is decided based upon the specific learning objectives of your class and the depth of information which you are covering in relation to that focus question depends upon the level of understanding of your audience. And having decided on the focus question, under the brainstorming stage, we make a list of all the concepts which need to be put up in the concept map. So we include a broad scope of concepts which may be relevant or irrelevant. We list them all here. In the organizing stage, we start picking up the relevant concepts and plan to place the related concepts more closely to one another. And we also decide upon which pattern of concept maps would be suitable for this particular topic in relation to the focus question. Now, with this background work, under the layout stage, we actually start drawing a concept map. So while drawing the concept map, first and foremost, we place the focus question and we place the other concepts within their nodes, and we start connecting the concepts using the links and On the linking phase, we also start labeling these links, ensure that each concept has at least one connection with another concept. And at this stage, the drawing and the writing, which includes the labeling of the concept map, is completed. Now, once a concept map is prepared, it is subject to change based upon your level of understanding on the topic. So subsequently, when you collect more and more information in relation to the topic, you are in a position to update your concept maps with time. And that is when you are in the revising stage of making a concept map. Now, with this background, let us also discuss how concept maps can be applied in medical education. It's a good practice for giving students an assignment of making a concept map before you actually start the class, provided the students have some basic understanding of the topic from the previous years of training. And you can randomly check the concept maps made by few students, and that will give you an understanding about how much they know about the topic and any misconceptions they have about the topic, which you can address upon during the course of the class. And you can also give students some concepts which can be placed in the concept map and ask them to keep building the concept map as your lecture proceeds. Now, during the class, as they are making the concept maps, you can pause in between and check the concept maps randomly made by the students, and you will get a instant feedback regarding their current understanding at a particular point in the class. As an assessment tool, concept maps align very well with the following teaching learning methods. Let us briefly discuss how. In sequence lectures on a particular topic, the students get an opportunity to build the concept maps over the course of the lectures on the topic. In blended learning, the digital technology has made the concept maps more attractive using various tools, and this the students will appreciate, and also will ensure active learning in these fully online courses. One of the elements of a concept map is crosslinks. The more the number of crosslinks, more is the extent of integration as far as integrated teaching is concerned. And this is an example of a concept map on the topic infective endocarditis. And you can see the basic concepts from the subjects like microbiology and pathology are placed in the notes, and this gets linked with the concepts from internal medicine placed in other nodes. So more the crosslinks, more is the extent of integration. Concept maps can also be used to summarize during and also assess the students during bedside case presentations. Now, this is the case scenario, or the not the scenario, this is actually a case history of a 51-year-old male patient with chest pain, and using concept maps, the entire case presentation has been summarized. So the notes in the first row contains concepts related to history of presenting illness, and these are linked to the notes in the second row having concepts related to the physical examination findings and also the lab findings, and this is linked to the interpretation of the laboratory reports and the diagnosis leading to acute pericarditis. So the entire case discussion is summarized with the help of a concept map. In case-based learning also, wherein the case scenarios are given, concept maps have been found to be useful in presenting the entire case-based learning exercise in a pictorial format, making it easier for the student to understand and summarize the entire case scenario. Concept maps has also found a place in problem-based learning, and here I'm presenting an article which has been published in Medical Teacher, and they modified the PBL exercise and to show how concept maps can be applied. So instead of the conventional Maastricht 7-jump process, a 5-phase PBL method was used, and which consisted of 3 mapping phases and 2 questioning phases. Except for M3, all the other stages occurred during the brainstorming session, and after the 1-week self-directed learning period, M3 phase happened. So what happened in the M1 phase? So this was the PBL scenario which was given to the students, and in the M1 phase, with the help of a concept map, the students summarize the entire problem-based learning exercise. And as you can see, the various issues were listed by the students, and in the process of framing the hypothesis, they raised 2 questions. This was the Q1 phase. Now, some of these questions they could answer based on their prior knowledge, and that got added upon with the same concept map with nodes colored in pink. So those answers were labeled in these nodes and appropriate links were filled. Now there were some few questions which they could not answer, which became the learning objectives. And these were those questions which the students decided that they will prepare and come. They all went for a 1-week private study, and later they had the presentation session, and the students answered these questions again, and these have been placed in this concept map here. As you can see, the darkly colored green nodes are labeled with those concepts which answer the questions raised under the Q2 stage. And this is how they completed the PBL exercise, and a positive feedback was given from all the students, and it also helped in the very purpose of PBL, that is to promote cognitive, metacognitive, and development of interpersonal skills. In a Blender lecture 2, concept maps can be used wherein students have a chance to critique, restructure, and present the correct version of a map. After a class also, concept maps can be used as an assessment tool to check how much the students have understood the topic. Now here, the teachers can frame such concept maps by blanking out the labels of the notes and asking the student to fill. It can also be done by labeling the nodes but blanking the linking verbs. So as you can see, the links are not labeled, which the students have to fill. Or it can be a mix of the two. So here you can see labels are either missing in the nodes or in the links. Now the difficulty with this method is it becomes difficult for the teacher to prepare these type of exercises in a large group teaching method. And also the concept maps which the student themselves create at the end of the class on a piece of paper, the teacher can randomly check to find out their complete understanding of the topic which was taught, which can be done at the end of a course module. Now, the concept map prepared by the students itself can be used for marking their performance. For example, points can be assigned for the concepts, for the relationship, the branching, for the pattern used, whether the right pattern has been used, whether crosslinks were made, more the marks if crosslinks were made. And this way, concept map itself can be used for awarding marks during the formative assessment. Concept maps, like any other teaching methodology, has both advantages and disadvantages. And it has plenty of advantages which will stimulate the higher order thinking, and it benefits all types of learners, but particularly the visual type of learners are benefited the most. And once a student prepares a concept maps, they can discuss with their classmates in small groups, and they can devise means for improvising the concept maps, which will promote collaborative learning and peer teaching. And is an excellent means for memorizing and revising for the topics wherein concept maps have been made can be written in a small book which can be used for revising prior to the exams. And it blends well with several innovative teaching learning methods which was discussed earlier, and it encourages the creativity among students and promotes active learning process. An important advantage of concept map is not necessarily that we need to use the digital tools, but a small piece of paper with a pen is enough to create a concept map, and hence it's a low cost technology. Concept maps are not without disadvantages. As told earlier, students must have some prior understanding of the topic before they are given the task of making concept maps. And again, some amount of training is required for the students to correctly place the concepts, choose the right pattern of concept map, and it takes some time also for making the concept map. So in a 1 hour class, minimum 15 minutes goes if a student were given this task. And not all topics can be converted into concept maps. Similarly, it may not be ideal while teaching all types of subjects. For example, biostatistics, it may be difficult for the learners to learn this subject using concept maps. And since there are several digital tools, all may not be familiar with the software for making one. And when too much of information is placed in the concept maps, particularly when it is framed by subject experts, it can lead to concept map shock, and it becomes difficult for slow learners to assimilate what is being presented. So there are several tools for making concept maps, and I'll be using one tool which has been devised by Institute for Human and Machine Cognition, IHMC, known as Cmap, which is free to use and freely available and downloadable. So I'll be demonstrating you on creating concept map using Cmap. So you need to download Cmap from the URL cmap.ihmc.us. And these are some of the references which I used. And thank you. We open the Cmap tool, which I have already downloaded. So it is getting started now here. So once it start here, I click Control N and open a new page. Let me expand it. So I double click on the page and a node appears. Now I'm taking this class for the first year MBBS students on vitamins under the topic nutrition. So I label the focus question as vitamins, and I am teaching them classification of vitamins as my specific learning objective. Now, once I click the upper part of the node, as you can see, a link appears. And when I release the link, two new nodes appear. So here I'm going to classify vitamins. So I have to add the appropriate description of the link, classified as fat soluble vitamins, and I click the linking phrase, pull one more arrow, and as you can see, only the node appears, and there is no node appearing on the link. So here I will label this as water soluble vitamins. Now I would like to further categorize fat soluble vitamins. I click on that node, drag the arrow from the head end, release it, and label the link as classified as A, D, K. Water soluble vitamins, I will classify them as D group, and vitamin C. So this is the classification. As you can see, it has not been arranged well. So I'll be using an auto layout function to arrange it in a nice way. So for the auto layout function, I click Control and L, and this box pops up. So here there are two options, force directed and hierarchical. I click hierarchical. All right. And down there is generate new layout. I click that and click OK. So as you can see, the concept map is well arranged, and this is a hierarchical type of mapping showing the classification of vitamins under the topic nutrition for first year MBBS students. Let us get familiarized with some more functions of under concept map creation. So now I select only the fat soluble vitamins here, and I right click on that. I come down, there's a nested node, and I create it. I click these double arrows here and I label it as fat soluble vitamins. So here I created a nested node, and as and when required, I can click these double arrows and the full list of fat soluble vitamins with the classification of those. Now, if I want to undo it, I right click it, again go to nested node and detach the children. So as you can see, the nested node has been undone. Now another important feature here is you can link any concept with supporting URL. For example, vitamin A comes under fat soluble vitamins. I want to emphasize its importance by showing the various ocular manifestations under vitamin A deficiency disorders. So students will know its importance. So I right click it and add web address. And here, right to the class only, I have found a suitable resource which I would like to link with this particular concept. So I found a resource from IHMC, and the resource is right here on my computer. As you can see, I want to show them this photograph of conjunctival xerosis and other conditions under xerophthalmia. So I click that URL. I go back to my concept map. I place the web address here. Click OK. So having done that, so suppose I were to close that URL, say I close that particular internet page. Now I go back to vitamin A, right? I click on that. I think I need to do it again. Add web address, IYK. All right. As you can see, it has been linked. You can see a box here. I click on the box. IYK appears. I click on that. Immediately, the web page opens on the internet, and I can show them that this is the importance of vitamin A. If there is a deficiency, there is a risk of losing the vision. So these are some features which you can try, which will help the students to be more interested during the lecture. Suppose concept map has been given as an assignment to the students, and once they submit, you want to give some comment to them. So you can annotate on any note. For example, here I come across there are some spelling mistakes in this particular node. Vitamins has been spelled wrong. So I right click on that, I annotate, and I send a message to students, correct spelling mistakes, and I close it. Now when the student opens the concept map, they double click on this box and they get to know that these are the mistakes which have been committed. And Once they have done it, they can click on that and delete it. Now, there is a means by which spellings can be checked using this particular tool. So under tools, we have spellings, click on that, and it will automatically identify the various spelling mistakes which are there in the concept map. Now, under tools, there is another important feature which can be beneficial while taking the class, that is known as presentation builder, wherein you can sequentially unfold the class as it progresses. So instead of showing the entire classification of vitamins at one go, I will sequentially show it. So how do I do it? First, I click the main focus question, the main node there. I click that and I click the second icon here. It gets added. I click the control function, click the connecting link and the subsequent node with the concept in that. And again, I click the second icon on the top. I click the control button. I click the subsequent links and the nodes containing the classification, further classification. I click the second icon here. Now, how does this appear when I take the class? So I come to the bottom of this pane and here I click the second icon again. Now, as you can see, the click of the next button, how the class gradually unfolds, making it interesting. So presentation builder can be a useful tool for presenting the concept maps in a sequential manner. Now, the entire class containing on concept maps with the various concepts can be shared in a text format to the students. For that, here, as you can see, there are three icons here. Click the second icon, which is in shows the layout in a text format. And as you can see here, click this option at the bottom, export as text. And when you click that, you can put a suitable file name, say class notes on vitamin deficiency disorders. And you can save it on the desktop, saved, and when you go to the desktop and open it, you can see the entire class note arranged in the form of an essay which the students can preserve for future learning purposes. Now, how to edit the various notes and the links? Now, this can be done with the help of the style palette. To get the style palette, click Ctrl and T. So when you click Ctrl and T, look at the bottom, font, object, line, and Cmap. So I'm using each of these four options to edit this particular concept map which I created. First and foremost is the font. I click font, so I can change the font of the focus question vitamins. So I'm not happy with this particular style. I can use more options. Say use this. See, I can use a different style. Then still doesn't look very great. Let me try. Yes, I tried something. I can increase the size of it. Right, so increase the size. I can make it italics. I can change the color. So these are the various options which I can do under font. Next is the object. So if I click object, I can edit the node. Here I have a rectangular node. I want to change the shape to a circle. So I can do that. I want to change the color. So here I have added a shadow to it, but I want to change the color of the nodes. Click the color on the top. See, so you can use a appropriate color so that it is visible. Right. So color to add color to the node, and shadow to add a proper shadow to the background. Makes it attractive for the students. Okay. Now let us see how we can edit the links. So suppose I select a link here and I want to make it bidirectional. So I click this option here, it becomes bidirectional. Okay. And suppose I want to increase the thickness of that link. I select the link and I increase the thickness. Now I can also make this link curved as per requirement. So shapes are there. If you can see here, you can make the link curved. Right? And you can do all these changes to enter concept map, Control A, everything gets selected. And I am making all of these bidirectional. See, we're clicking the bidirectional. When undo, I'd use Control Z. All right. Now, right. Suppose I want to edit the background. I use the Cmap option here. As you can see, there's a background here. All right. I want to change the background to some other color, say purple. So I can do that. So I click Control Z. It gets undo. So all these options are there by opening the style palette, which is Control T. Right. Now, after having created the Cmap, I want to share it with others. Now, there are people in my class who haven't downloaded the Cmap tool. How do I share this concept map with them? So for this, I export Cmap by clicking File. I export Cmap as, I have to click here as a web page. So if I do that, I can export it to people who don't have Cmap tool and they can also use it. Another important feature is we need to save the Cmap for our personal use later. We want to further improvise it. So click File and click Save Cmap. And once it is saved, it gets saved to your computer. There is another important feature which is provided by the manufacturers IHMC, that is to save Cmap in their global platform. So click this globe button, share Cmap in places, and if you save Cmap in this globe, you can access your saved Cmap, your saved concept map in any other computer in any part of the world, provided the computer has Cmap. Similarly, you can collaborate with others using this tool so that they can edit your Cmap. And if you don't want people to edit it, you have that option. So all these features are available. And so I thank you all for watching this session. And I wish you all the best in your teaching and learning. Hope you will use concept maps in your classroom teaching, which will be beneficial to your students. Thank you.